If you look around, you are surrounded by the literal foundation of the modern world. Concrete is everywhere. By volume, it is the second most consumed substance on Earth, right behind water. Because it is so ubiquitous, we usually evaluate it strictly on utility. Engineers and urban planners look at concrete and see a checklist of statistics: compressive strength, carbon intensity, and curing time. This photograph of an MRT rail tunnel illustrates that mindset. We see the materials stripped down to its skeletal grace. The focus here is entirely on the repetitive geometry and the precision alignment required to bore out a city's subterranean transport network. Treating this substance exclusively as a tool for structural integrity creates a visual blind spot. We get so caught up in the math of holding buildings up that we often overlook its capacity as an expressive medium. The Global Cement and Concrete Association actively pushes against this functional bias. Through their Concrete in Life photography competition, they ask people to drop the engineering checklist and document the material through an entirely different lens. Take this shot from the icy landscape of Harbin, China. The structure spanning the river provides a surreal backdrop for human movement. It demonstrates how a functional space, designed for a harsh environment, can evoke a genuine sense of wonder. The explicit criteria for this competition forces a reevaluation. The judges ask photographers to stop calculating the load-bearing capacity of a pillar and start looking for its artistic soul. To genuinely reevaluate what this material can do, we must forget its role as shelter and analyze it purely as abstract form. That brings us to the competition's beauty and design category. Here, entries are judged entirely on how they use the material to push architectural details and innovative structural shapes. This image by Marcel Manbaltham, titled Triangles, captures the provincial government building in Antwerp, Belgium. It highlights the material's capacity for creating purely abstract geometric forms. By isolating this specific section of the facade, the photographer strips away the real-world context. You aren't looking at a busy government office. You are examining a standalone geometric sculpture. The defining aesthetic asset here is the material's rigidity. Concrete can be cast to hold sharp, uncompromising lines that natural stone cannot achieve. Zooming in on the physical intersection of these lines reveals the absolute mathematical precision required to execute this design. Modern casting techniques replicate these identical angles over and over, establishing a perfectly mirrored, rhythmic symmetry across the structure. But the geometry is only half the equation. The other physical factor is how the smooth surface catches and reflects natural light. This flawless finish turns the exterior wall into a blank canvas, setting the stage for high-contrast shadow play that dictates the building's visual rhythm. Down at this micro level, the aesthetic appeal has nothing to do with load distribution. It is driven entirely by human control over geometry and light. Analyzing an abstract photograph is a highly controlled experiment, but out in the real world, concrete has to exist within a messy, unpredictable, and highly organic environment, and that creates an immediate, unavoidable tension. What happens when we drop the most rigid, uncompromising material on Earth directly into a fluid, living ecosystem? We see that tension clearly here. This footprint of modern macro infrastructure carves a path across open water, imposing engineered lines onto the natural landscape. The true test of concrete's aesthetic value isn't whether it can stand apart from nature. It is whether it can form a compelling visual relationship with the earth it anchors to. That specific question was answered by the competition's overall grand prize winner. This is Pillars Across the Sea, photographed by Celbert Palaganas, documenting the Cebu-Cordova Link Expressway in the Philippines. Palaganas uses an extended depth of field to pull wildly different environments into a single perspective. The fragile, tangled root network of the coastal mangroves sits directly against the monomythic permanence of the infrastructure, proving they aren't opposing forces. So the very next time you walk past an active construction site, try to look past the blueprints. Concrete yields sharp geometric perfection, and as this image proves, it can establish a quiet, monumental harmony